Hey, welcome to Delite Side of Life podcast. I'm Delite and I'm delighted to have you here. Yeah, let's just go with the obvious. Yeah, I've been having a great week, always, and I hope you having one too. Yeah, let's just get right into it. Today, I'd like to first reflect on something that I came across on social media, a post, and it goes something like, no matter what you do, don't just have one child, give them siblings. That's the family they will have when you are gone. Cousins and aunts won't be there. Take my words. So, this is a post I came across, and basically is what today's episode is inspired by. A post that I don't fully agree with, but a part of me does, because basically speaks about how siblings are probably needed, you know, all the benefits and all the pros that come with having siblings in your life, but doesn't really touch on the cons. And sometimes the cons can outweigh the pros. And I think personally, I have felt more of the cons that come with having siblings, mainly because of something I've touched on before in previous episode. In a previous episode where I mentioned that I'm the last born of three siblings, and I am like much younger than they are. So the eldest is 9 years older than me, and the second born is 7 years older than me, and they're 2 years apart. And that has allowed them to be friends in a sense, and I've always seen that dynamic of how I think brotherhood is or should be. And I think what this post is reflecting on are the pros that come with having brothers who become your friends and stuff. But I didn't necessarily have that, and at the time I didn't understand why, and because I wanted it so much, because I'm a guy, I'm a boy, and my siblings were boys too, and they your first example of what it probably is to be an older you, or a man one day, or the type of lifestyle you might live, the type of career choices, everything, the type of girls you date, the way you'd carry yourselves. You just mimicking these people, and you spend more time with them than you would with your parents. So it was quite disheartening for me as a child growing up with this gap, because I guess my brothers didn't know how to manage it very well, especially the oldest one. Growing up, I didn't get it, but as I became older, I realized that we're so alike, and that's a part of the reason why we clash so much, because it's hard to really learn or to allow someone to be, or to celebrate them if they are just like you, because what you're saying is probably something I would say, or what you think is probably something I would think about, and therefore we're not necessarily exchanging notes, we're just comparing notes and trying to compete in a sense of who has the best answers or and such. And the other thing with me is I'm very outspoken, and I'm very fearless when it comes to speaking my mind. And another thing is, how we were brought up, is that I was never told or given the impression that there's a difference between siblings. The only difference was between siblings, between the kids and the parents. And that's where the respect thing really mattered. And not to say that I was disrespectful, but I would see how my brothers would interact, despite them being 2 years apart. They would act like friends would, and I would think, okay, seeing that this is how they react or interact, I think it's fair that I would do the same, because we're all in the same category, or we all fall under the same category. But I think that probably fed into my brother and I not gelling that much, the firstborn, also, and so you find that maybe he would mention certain things or try and discipline me and this and that, and I probably wouldn't listen the way he'd expect me to. And yeah, so, but we'll get into how I think that can be managed better, and I think it's the role of the parents and stuff. But there's this incident I remember. As a kid, it made complete sense to me, because my brothers and I we have quite oily skin. My mom has quite oily skin. I'm not sure about my dad. My dad passed away when I was 13, so at that age I wasn't really observing stuff like that. But we have oily skin, therefore teenage years and puberty, acne was a thing. It was just what we went through. All of us did, as the siblings, and therefore my brother had acne scarring before I got the chance to have any of it. But even though I got to that point, his was more severe than mine, especially because of his complexion. He's lighter than I am, so it would show more that his skin has darkened because of this acne scarring. And I'm mentioning this because of a moment where I draw. I used to draw a lot. I used to do fine arts in school, in high school. And at some point I just drew, I'm laughing now, but it was nice at the time. It's not a nice thing what I did. But basically I drew all of us. I drew me, my brothers and my mom, I think, and my dad maybe. But with my brother's face, my eldest brother, I colored in his face. So I shaded in his face. I didn't use coloring, but I shaded in his face. And in my mind, consciously, I'm thinking, oh, the acne scarring, or his face is darker than mine or ours because of this thing. So therefore, I made him look dark. But I think subconsciously, it was me being bitter, being petty in some way. And I remember my brother reacting to this drawing, because I showed them like, hey, look, I drew us, and he was like bothered by it. And at the time I didn't get it, and I'm busy trying to explain that no, but this is me copying or just observing, and I'm just drawing what I observed. But as I got older, I realized that it's probably some hurt or pain I felt, and I was just expressing it through this drawing. And that also might have added on to him thinking this kid just hates me out of nowhere, and us just miscommunicating all the time. Whereas I always felt that he didn't like me because as a kid, I didn't understand certain things. So I wouldn't understand that, okay, it's the holidays, I'm at home with my brothers, everything's cool, let's play music, let's chill in the house. But there's a point in time when they'd be like, yo, bro, go and play with your friends, go and play in the street, whatever. And at that time, you thinking your brothers are the coolest. Like, why would I want to go and chill with guys my age? Besides that, my friends are probably not around at this moment. Things are probably like nice at this moment. It's not like we got bored or I got bored. I'm still feeling the vibe as a kid. They probably annoyed and like, oh man, when's this kid going? Or when's he gonna fall asleep? Because as boys, they had plans. They were teenagers. They had teenage plans, and you only realize later on as an adult or whatever that, oh shucks, I also have plans. I also want to maybe have a friend over, a female friend or my girlfriend or whatever. And this kid being here is not going to help. And nor does it help that this kid doesn't understand what snitching is. So you find I'm not trying to snitch on anybody, but I'm going to mention what happened today to my mom, or because on top of that, like I said, we didn't have a close relationship, so they were not able to really keep secrets with me or anything, or have a talk with me where I'd understand, because we never had like a bond or an agreement or a brotherhood. So I just wanted to mention that and how it affected me in thinking that I'm not liked by this guy, I don't get it, because I would especially see the total opposite when I would observe other people and their siblings. And it got worse when I would be allowed more into my friends' environments, and you'd have a friend who's friends with his little brothers, and they'd all just be friends and chill together. And I have another female friend who's friends with her sisters, and the youngest one, though she's younger, they still incorporate her in some way. They don't just say go away. So that really got to me, and it really affected our relationship. It resulted in us fighting physically over some dumb shit. I love my food, but I was tired this day, and it's the typical thing of, you save your food for tomorrow because you're like, right now I'm not really hungry. But this is that nice food, the one you're looking forward to, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this at lunchtime tomorrow for breakfast, and you're ready for this food. And you go to the fridge and it's not there. And it's happened before. It's happened a few times before. And it might not even be this person, but you're thinking there's only one person who has something against me. So I brought it up and it became a thing, and we ended up fighting. Busted my lip. Like, if anyone were to feel it, like if someone were to kiss me or whatever, I don't know. I haven't been told though, but I can feel it. Like, there's still like a little scar that you could feel on my lip, and it was busted open. Had to call my mom, told me to go to the doctor. And then got stitched up, and but it was a sucker punch. I have to mention that. I was like in the bathroom, we were kind of done, and then he came through and he just punched me out of nowhere while my head was like down. So I have to mention that. Not to say I would have won, he's older than me and stuff, but it wasn't just G. But so it got to that point where I really changed my perception of what brothers are. And I was like, okay, first I didn't like you and you didn't like me and we disagree on things and stuff. But for you to actually harm me when I'm trying to like get my food, bruh, and even if I'm wrong, isn't there a better way to resolve this? Like, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it at the time. And so, this was a lot of built up stuff. And it didn't help that people around us contributed to the situation. There's a time I was with my cousin and we watching TV. So my cousin visited for the holidays and stuff and watching TV, whatever. And my brother's also sitting there and we're commenting on something on TV. And my brother's in on this conversation. So I've tried my best in a lot of the years to avoid my brother. But if I'm sitting with my cousin, it's our cousin, but I mean, he's my age, we are friends. And it's my conversation with him. If you get involved here, I think it's fair game, So anyway, my brother gets involved in this conversation and he says something. And I'm like, nah, that's incorrect. Whatever. I'm someone who likes arguing, by the way. So I'm all about that. I used to like it. I think I've chilled. I've understood the fact that it's not really necessary as much. But I'd see it as a sport, as a way to just like I love debates and stuff like that. So anyway, but at this point you realize you shouldn't debate with certain people or of a certain age, especially in certain cultures and certain households, because once this argument started happening, there's a point where he's like, he's right. He's like, I'm right. I'm like, oh, Joe, why are you right, Joe? Like, you're not making sense. Like, no, I'm right because I'm older. And I was shook. I was so shook. And my cousin makes jokes about it till this day. He's like, oh, bro, remember that time, bro? And I don't want to mention my brother's name. I love him, by the way. Everything's good now. But, I mean, it's not about him. It's about the subject at hand. Anyway, so he's like, yo, bro, hey, remember that time? And it was shocking to both of us because we like, I'm aware that parents and older people tend to think that way and say, I'm right because I'm older. I'm just right because I've lived longer. And it's like, people are not open to having discussions with people younger than them. They don't understand that knowledge can come from anywhere, and different life experiences means different lessons. And it's just not the same mindset. And I was thinking, and I was shocked because I'm thinking we brought up in the same home. We went to similar schools. You were ahead of me. I'm learning from you. I should be learning from you. But you're still thinking like our parents. In some instances, my dad's not that much like that. My mom was a bit like that, but no bashing mom, she's a wonderful lady. But we expect that more from the elder generation and stuff. So I was just like shocked, and he's loud and proud about it. And it's just one of those things where I knew, or I started to realize his intentions when it came to us having conversations. Or, I never really trusted whether we're just going to have a talk. And therefore you try and avoid it, or that, okay, if it's going to become an argument, it's really not about whether or not we're trying to find out what the truth is or whatever. It's about who's right. People are more focused on being right than being all right. I always say, like, you should focus more on being all right. Like, work towards finding out the right answer so that you are okay or you've resolved something, and not just so that you know better in this environment amongst these people, or you seem to know better but you're really not better off. But yeah, so stuff like that would continuously happen. But that was really like a strong turning point where I realized that, okay, I should really see it for what it is, and either continue this way or pull myself out of it. And therefore, my mom would interject, right? She'd always interject throughout the years. She'd be like, no, man, it's your brother. His brother's a family. You have to be close and stuff like that. Until I got older and I was like, mommy, the issue here is the fact that you are forcing a friendship. And it's actually forcing this friendship that has made us clash so much and not work out. And sometimes some people you should just be cordial with, you should just be civil with, and that's it. Like, you don't have to get involved in their things, and you don't have to talk about this and that. It should just stop where it was. And the problem with family, it's because we have blood, or we share blood, or if our parents pass away, we'll need each other. Yeah, you could still rely on each other and work with each other, but not have to get involved in everything involving each other. You could still say, yo man, where's the bread? The bread is in the bread bin or in the fridge. Or you can still have those conversations that can enable you to continue having a productive household that's not at a halt. But you really don't have to get involved in everything else and share friends and stuff like that, because it does get complicated. It could get complicated. And shout out to those people who don't get to those points or know how to manage it very well. But in a lot of cases, it's a forced situation that results in these problems that we have. And then you end up being more of a stranger to your own sibling than you are to a friend. And it is true, when we go back to this post, that it is true that family does stick around, and a lot of family feel like it's important, or they need to, or they have to, even if they don't want to, they have to be around, they have to do it. Because I always think of it in this sense, even if I'm not okay with my brother or whatever, my children are still going to be around at some point once they're born or whatever, or he has children, for instance, and we will both have kids, and they might rely on each other, or it's bigger than us, it's more than us, and it's just beyond. And some people are just around because you happen to have the same things in common, and that's friends. It's just because we happen to go to the same school, it's because of this and that, but there's no real tie when it comes to other things. Therefore, it is easier to lose, or it should be, so I just think we're mismanaging family and the way in which we work with each other, and we force things, and that's what results in these issues we have. So moving along from that, I've definitely grown up, come a long way, and it's really done a 180, if I could say that, from my side. And I think I know my brother well enough to know that he won't act like he's cool with something if he's not. And I say this because first I'd like to mention that I started really changing my mind about his intentions and who he is, because someone else told me about what he did for me. And I think that's what matters the most, is when you do something for someone and it won't benefit you. That's really when that's really giving. That's what giving really is. And it might not seem important, but to me it means the world to me, because it's everything that I am. And it's when I was in high school, matric and stuff, I initially was doing like fine arts and stuff. I was going to get involved in graphic design because I thought, okay, cool, financially cool, I'd rather go there than fine arts. So that was always my plan. But in high school, I was quite known for like singing at school, a bit popular in a sense. And yeah, that music bug just bit me, and it was an option. It was a serious option, something that I saw as, why not, and I started expressing this to my mom, and she was concerned, like, why aren't you going to do your graphic design or what? Because I chose that subject, and I wasn't doing music at school. They didn't even have the subject. But yeah, I was like, I did matric and I did art when I did matric. I did an art exam and stuff like that. And okay, cool. So first year, I have to go and study, and I really wanted to do music. The thing is, my brothers have influenced me, whether I like it or not. Despite the issues and stuff like that, they've always influenced me. And music is my biggest influence. It's strong, so strong. And it's because of the music they play. And not only that, but my brothers were aspiring musicians. I don't know, they probably still are, but we don't really communicate like that. So I don't know what they really want or whatever. But they have their respective careers and stuff. But yeah, maybe, but not in music. So my mom was always against music because she's like, there's a few years that my mom would consider that was wasted when it comes to my brothers and them pursuing music, and the one would always follow the other because they're so close. So they'd always do the same stuff. They'd have the same friends, and they influenced each other quite a lot. And therefore, she thought, okay, with me it would be a different path, no matter what. And it has been. I've always said that. I've always aspired to just do the opposite of what my brothers do, just because I always felt rejected and I just want to prove something else. But the music, I went straight in the same way. And the thing that happened is, my brother convinced my mom, let Thabo do music. Just let him do it. You were so against us doing it. We didn't even do it the right way. Like, let him go and study. Let him go and pursue it properly. And he has it. He can do it. Not to say that they can't. It's just that he was willing to put his neck on the line and say, I'm backing it up. Yo, man, you can blame me, but let this guy do what he wants to do. He can do it. He should do it. And I found this out many years after that. Yo, man, I wasn't gonna let you go and study that thing, bro. But your brother stood up for you, and he made it happen. And that's really where the turning point started. It wasn't fully there because you don't know really how to do things. And being the younger sibling, it's hard for you to initiate anything. You can't even initiate yo, man, let's go and catch a movie. It's just, especially if you don't know it, you've never felt it before. It's foreign to you. You see it with other people and their siblings, but you don't know how to even smile with the guy. You don't understand it. So, but I always remembered that. And it really happened where I really realized that I'm happy even for him, and I'm okay with him, is when he finally started getting his things in order. And the day he pitched up at home, my mom's house, and he came with a new car, and I was happy for him. But I tend to do this where I'm I literally sit with myself and I observe my emotions and say, are you really happy? Are you just doing this because I have to do that because I mentioned I'm bipolar. So I overthink, first of all, but it's also important for me to keep on thinking about my emotions so that I can prevent certain emotions or certain bad emotions and make sure I'm really feeling how I think I'm feeling. And that's how I'm always aware of my state of mind, or I try to be. So anyway, I did that for a few days, and I realized that, wow, man, I'm happy for this dude. It's dope. And I saw my mom and how she was happy. And the thing is, initially I was in this competitive thing where, imagine a sibling that's 9 years younger. I was hoping to bridge that gap. I was always hoping I'm gonna pass him. He's gonna see that I'm better than him. He's gonna see that I'm gonna get a car before him. I'm gonna do this. But he showed me that he got the car before me, and I could try and do other things before him, or try and not make mistakes, if you can put it that way, that he made, and say, oh, I'm better, or I think I'm better. But I realized that this is bigger than me. It's about my mother. It's about the family. It's my mom going to work or amongst her friends and saying, hey, my firstborn did what firstborns do first. and he got the car first. Next in line would be the second born. Next, that order of things. It's such a blessing. It helps my mom sleep at night. Me getting a car first would have been nice for me, but I don't think it would have helped the situation. It wouldn't have helped my mom thinking that, oh, she did right. She raised some good kids. And stuff like that is really where I started seeing the importance of stuff. And that's when I started realizing, oh, this is where my brother comes in and why I saw him as a villain, but he's probably just a victim in a similar situation that I'm in. And I'm just lucky I wasn't given a role of firstborn. And that's my issue. And that's what I want to address, what I wanted to address mainly, which I haven't, but it's just the thinking point whereby parents, I believe, should prepare more if they can. I think parenthood is the most important job ever. This is the future. These are people. They are individuals. It's not a computer. It's not. This thing lives, and it's going to live beyond your life. When you go on, it's still there, and your impact and how you manage this situation and these people together in this environment could result in the way they turn out. And the better you can do that, and the better we can work on it, the better society will be. Because we tend to say that there's no manual for parenting and stuff like that, and it's my child, so I'll raise them the way I want. But we forget that these people have to fit into society and work with other people in society. So we still need a similar understanding of certain things and how to go about certain things and to prevent certain traumas and anxieties and stuff like that, so that people should generally come from a good environment or stable environments so we can continue in a stable society. And if parents could just, I know we sex is nice and we do it in all sorts of ways, and kids end up becoming a result of that. But if we could plan for anything, I think the one thing we should plan for is parenthood. Like a business. Like if you could sit down and make a business plan for this business that's just going to provide you with money for the kids that you want to provide food for, why not have a business plan or a plan for these kids, the type of schools they go to, the type of everything, and write it down. Why not? I don't see why not. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that and say that I understood that it's not really my brother, and hopefully our relationship can go beyond and beyond, but everything is cool as far as I know. We greet each other nicely, smiling, check up on each other when we are around each other. We don't call each other, but things are way better than they were, and I never thought they'd ever get here. And yeah, forgiveness is key, and forgive yourself too, and get over yourself. It's really not about you, and it wasn't about me. Whatever happened with him and I. And yeah, that's it. I just wanted to touch on that, and hopefully you could apply the same stuff in your lives, or maybe you beyond it, and you could share some of these pointers with me. Thank you for listening. For those who haven't heard of this podcast due to my social media platforms, you can follow me at Delite Music. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Delite Music, Delite Music. Yeah, but that's the same Delite. That's the name of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Awesome. Enjoy the week ahead. This was another episode of Delite Side of Life. Peace.